This podcast episode may contain explicit material. Listener-viewer discretion is advised. The intention is not to offend, but to provide information. Proceed only if you are comfortable with potentially sensitive content.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. I'm Jason Ard. We started this podcast to educate everyone on the role of the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. We're about serving and protecting our community. On this podcast, we will tackle lots of topics. On today's podcast, we'll be tackling the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office episodes featured on the Takedown with Mr. Chris Hansen, which I'm very excited about. You may have heard, I think the last time Calvin and I got together, we talked about our ICAC Task Force and what it's about. And basically that task force is basically focuses on these internet crimes against our children.
Right.
And so we, year and a half ago, started the task force with one detective. And now we actually have 3 full-time detectives dealing with these type crimes. They stay very busy, unfortunately.
Very busy, yes.
And so, but we wanted to kind of take you behind the scenes a little bit with the Chris Hansen sting operation. And I just want to make sure people understand this is, we partnered with Chris Hansen for a few reasons. It wasn't because we can't do things ourselves, because we do it every day. But when Chris Hansen reached out to me because of the good works of the ICAC Task Force, he was very interested in coming down, doing a sting operation. And it gives us a chance to let our viewers, and our citizens, this is a real situation. And what better platform than a Chris Hansen, right? And we we killed it that week. It was 11 arrests.
Yes.
11 arrests made. Chris is just, man, he's a superstar. I know it, but he's also about business. I was very impressed with him, his demeanor and how he handled these guys when they came in. But Chris basically, he contacted me. Y'all doing a great job. Can we do this? We did it. A lot of things went into basically setting up this deal, because I know I sent you Calvin. We had a good friend of ours. We're not going to name a lot of people because this is an undercover operation, but a very good friend of mine allowed us the use of his basically apartment house complex, and that's where the operation was.
Right.
We had a few residents that was a little stirred up about it because they felt like we were putting them in danger. They were safer.
They were safer at that time when we were doing this thing than any other time with all the deputies that were in the location.
Oh yeah, It was 15, maybe even 20 at times. Right. But it's hard to find these locations that we can actually bring them to. So that's what all that's about. But we want to actually again take you behind the scenes and from the beginning to the end. So that's kind of how this thing started. And so the first person we arrested actually is the Alexis guy. I think his first name is Kolin.
Kolin Alexis.
And he was working for the EBR school system. And now the detective, which was undercover, set up a profile on this chat room. And Kolin basically reached out to him. And this started a couple of weeks prior, or a couple of months prior. I think when I was looking over the PC sheet, it was like back in January, when he actually started chatting up the undercover detective. And so anyway, that led to back and forth, a little chat, and I'm gonna get into that a little later. And look, you viewers, everybody that's listening out there, this is not easy to talk about sometimes, because it does get a little. The vulgarity and the stuff that is in these reports are not something I just like to say. But we're going to be reading a PC sheet. We're going to be talking about real life stuff here. It's stuff you parents, you need to hear, you need to listen, and you need to try to learn, because this is serious. We have some predators out there, lots of them, that are trying to get our kids, trying to groom them. And that's all we're trying to do is educate you. That's why I asked Chris Hansen when he reached out to me. It's a great opportunity for us to make our community aware of what's going on out here and how real it really is. And so Captain Calvin Bowden's here with me. And I know I said that earlier, but he y'all do such a great job. You and your team, and what y'all do each and every day. So what I would like to do is kind of just, take them through the scene of what happens next. Chris shows up, y'all set everything up, and here comes the first guy.
Right.
I mean, what does it feel like? I mean, I kind of know what it feels like because I was there.
I mean, it was really very exciting, especially since, being in law enforcement, you watch crime shows and all that all your life, and to actually be able to meet Chris and actually work with him in this capacity, it was nice.
He's such a direct guy too.
Oh yes, he is.
Was his famous "Have a seat"?
Have a seat. That's right.
If he tells you to have a seat, you're probably in trouble.
That's it. That's a fact.
Yeah. So y'all set everything up and had operation going back and forth with the detectives doing their undercover chatting or whatever. So walk me through the rest of it.
So the detectives would make a profile, and they would put on there that they were 14 years old, and they would just sit back and wait, and then they would be messaged by these predators. And, at first it's just, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And then after a little more conversation, it went sexual. Mm-hmm. And of course, the sexual conversation, it was initiated by the predator, not by the undercover, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So they would bring it sexual, and then the things that they were saying is, I mean, you wouldn't want to say it to your best friend, much less to a 14-year-old kid.
I know. I actually looking at the PC sheet, the probable call sheet that's in front of me, and like you said earlier, they kind of start something simple, like, so his probably one of the first statements he made or first text he probably sent that was a PG-13 was, I can't take your virginity, but only if you want me to.
Right.
That's kind of how they start.
Right.
And then it kind of builds up. And, the next is, are you okay with like sending nudes?
Right.
So it's that grooming, that build up to, then it goes straight into.
And in these conversations, of course, the predator, he's going to ask the 14-year-old for nudes and this and that. Well, they're undercover, so they're not going to send any nudes.
Right.
But even after the undercover doesn't initiate on that, then the next thing you know, they're sending a picture of their penis.
Oh yeah.
Further in the conversation.
He sent a picture of his penis and had some things to say along with that. And I'm going to read this PC sheet to y'all in just a minute when we get a little bit further into it. But this particular guy, he's 21 years old.
Right.
He comes there knowing this is a 14-year-old. That's what he's chatting up several times in the probable call sheet that said, I was actually there.
Right.
And several times while the undercover's chatting, I'm 14, has no care.
Nope.
That's why he makes the statement, I can't take your virginity, but only if you want me to. He knows he's dealing with a young 14-year-old. Right. He's at a school, works at a school. I'm not sure what. I know y'all did y'all's due diligence and checked all that. But
right.
He's not back at the school.
No. We did contact the area at the EBR school system that he did work, and as of before coming on to this podcast today, he's still in your motel hotel.
Oh yeah, that's where he needs to be.
Yes,
Jason R's hotel motel. So and he probably is not getting out anytime soon either.
No, he's not.
So that's always a good thing. So this guy, he works at a school. They started chatting up, and I think at one time he tells the undercover that he can't be there till like after a certain time because he's working, and then he sends a profile pic with his school uniform on. Am I right?
Right. So he's chatting with the undercover during the day, during school hours, while he's at the school around other kids. While doing that, he managed to send a picture of his penis while he's at the school to the undercover, and in the penis picture, it has his logo with the school nutrition department that he works for. And through the investigation,
He must have learned that in How to Be a Criminal 101 school.
Yeah, exactly, because it wasn't too smart.
I mean, geez.
So he was going on the profile, he was going by Josh. All right. And based on the intel we were able to get on the logo that we were able to get off the picture, we narrowed it down to where he worked, and we were able to find out his real name, which is Kolin Alexis.
Well, that's because y'all are investigators and you know how to do that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And so this guy is chatting up with undercover sheriff's deputy, has no clue that's what he's doing. And in sending these pictures of himself, chatting this little girl up, doing everything he can, and then he shows up.
Yes.
He drives from Baton Rouge over to the Dental Springs area where we have this sting operation.
But he showed up at 3:30 because he had to finish his job at the school first.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's right.
He had to finish his job at the school before he could get there.
Okay. He drives over, walks in, comes up, knocks on the door. Decoy brings him in. They have a seat on the couch, start chatting a little bit. Remember, he had a teenage
Mutant Ninja Turtle
shirt on,
and he was very comfortable.
Very comfortable. It was kind of creepy that he had that shirt on, but
yes.
And then the decoy says, "Hey, I'll be right back." She goes in another room, and then out comes around the corner. Here comes Chris Hansen, and have a seat. And so anyway, they start chatting up, and he's making all these excuses, but trying to blame it on the victim.
Right.
It's not his fault, which is something that these predators do. And I noticed that on every single time we arrested somebody, it was like, man, I didn't know she was 14. I know she said she was 14, but I thought she was 18.
We just coming to talk.
We just coming to talk.
Yeah.
I thought it was, and one of them was like, I thought she was a dude.
Yeah.
And you still came? I mean, you still came over here knowing that, what's wrong
if it's a
with you?
14-year-old dude or a girl, does it make a difference? It's a kid.
Right. So anyway, this guy, Chris, interviews him. He gives us, all this information. And that's where we learn he's working around kids every day. Of course, he says they're 19 and 20, I think.
Yeah.
Knowing that
14, 15.
Yes. And so the only good news about this whole thing is that he's sitting where he needs to be sitting in the detention center, and that's a good thing to know that he's sitting there. So we hook him up, we put him in handcuffs, and we take him to jail. We do a little debrief. Chris Hansen and I do that and kind of talk about it, and it is definitely an eye opener. All the years that I've done this, all the handcuffs I've probably put on people over the years, it still is like, I can't believe they're still doing these type of things. It's like so fast. Right. We had some of these perpetrators that we would put out the image. They would chat within minutes, and within an hour, they're knocking on the door.
That is scary.
Oh,
that's like if a parent was going to Walmart and within an hour, their child, which is home alone, can be violated by a predator. That's how quick that can happen.
Well,
we've seen it with our own eyes.
Yeah, we had the other one with the guy referred to as the master. That's what he wanted his prey. Hey, you're gonna call me master. That's my new name. Well, he's the one that sent Uber driver to get her. Yes. He said he was in Dental Springs, but he was actually in Harvey, Louisiana. Sent an Uber driver. Uber cooperates with us, gets on the phone with him and tells him, but look, the Uber driver tells this guy, this person is a 14-year-old. She's too young. So she plays along with us. He said, okay, that's fine, hangs up and sends another one.
And then he ends up sending three more, 4 Ubers to bring a 14-year-old kid that he was telling the kid on the chat, I'm just going to bring you to the hotel in Denham Springs.
Right.
But talking to the Uber drivers, he had it sent. He was bringing them to Harvey, Louisiana.
Yeah,
an hour and a half away. Now I'm here to tell you, based on my experience, that would not have turned out well if that was a real 14-year-old kid, because that kid would not have been coming back to Denham Springs.
The last person that would have seen that kid would have been the Uber driver.
That's exactly right.
There's not a doubt that would happen. But look, that's other episodes that'll be coming up. We don't get too much detail out on that because we'll be talking about it. But I do want to read this probable cause sheet. And I'm going to try not to mention the detective's name because they are undercover. And but I just want you to, this is kind of how, once we bring him, we book him in, we have to do a probable cause sheet. And this just kind of gives you a little bit of what happened. So in this probable cause sheet, it just says, detective utilized an undercover profile acting as a 14-year-old female to create a post on the internet-based platform seeking conversation with other users. In the month of January 2025, the detective was contacted by a male on one of the internet-based platforms and informed the unknown suspect that the age was 14 years old. During the chats, detectives shared a undercover number along with a second social media application with the user. In January, not long after that, detectives received a text message from a number which belonged to Mr. Kolin. Detectives conversated and told the unknown guy that he was a 14-year-old female. Again, the messages were exchanged for multiple days between January 27 and then February 04. So basically from January the 27th to February the 4th, they exchanged multiple times during the day. During the investigation, the detective was able to use images and phone numbers and other information obtained during the chats to locate and identify the unknown user as Kolin Alexis out of Baton Rouge. Kolin made several statements to whom he reasonably believed to be a 14-year-old female. The following are examples of the statements made by Kolin during the conversation. Now, look, these are not easy to say, but I'm going to read them. And I said one of them earlier already. He says, "I can't take your virginity, but only if you want me to. You okay like sending nudes? I want to eat you out and try everything and try everything you've been missing." Man, what a sicko.
Yes.
"We'll take it slow, of course, but to be frank, I want to make you come." Now, look, it gets worse as it goes down, and I'm just not going to read it because I'm just not, but it continues to get very vulgar, very just disturbing and disgusting. Let's just say that. Kolin proceeded to send an image of his bare penis with a message, "That's my dick, and I'm not even hard yet." Now he's bragging on himself.
To a what he thinks is a 14-year-old child.
So on February the 4th, Kolin wanted to meet with what he believed to be a 14-year-old female child. Kolin proceeded to meet up with what he believed to be a 14-year-old female at a determined location, which is where our sting operation was. And that's where Mr. Kolin was taken into custody and got to meet Mr. Chris Hansen and Livingston Parish Sheriff detectives and got to have a free ride down to Jason R's motel, however you want to say it.
That's right.
And he's now in there with a very high bond, or even if he has a bond,
right,
but he's still in the detention center. He's not getting out anytime soon. He was charged with indecent behavior with a juvenile, which is a felony, computer aided solicitation of a minor, which is a felony.
Right.
So he's got some really high charges on him. In your opinion, what kind of time is he looking at?
He's going to do some serious time. I would venture to say it's not going to be a probatable sentence whenever he gets it. He's going to do some time.
Yeah.
Whenever he arrived and interview with Chris Hansen and so forth, if you remember, he kept on saying, "Oh, it's, I didn't know she was 14. I thought she was 18 because she had to be 18 to be on the app." And we know from the chats, he said, the undercover says, I'm 14. I'm a 14-year-old girl. Numerous times. And then he says, I was just going to come there to talk to her. Okay? I was just coming to talk. But whenever we arrest him and we put him in cuffs and get to bring him out, what does he have in his pocket? A brand new box of condoms. Now, if you were just coming to talk to a 14-year-old girl,
right,
why are you bringing condoms?
That's right. And he was called out, and he basically, I think, on the way out the door said,
I don't need them. No,
I don't need them
don't.
anymore. No, you don't. No, you don't. Well, look, Calvin, I greatly appreciate you coming and bringing the details that you brought, and hopefully our listeners are that are listening out there. Look, please pay attention to this. If you're a parent, this is serious. I mean, this is real life stuff going on. Know what your child is doing. If they're gaming or they're on these social media platforms or chat rooms, and you just do not know who they're chatting with, who they're talking to. And these predators are very smooth. They know what they're doing. They're looking for an opportunity. That's what all criminals do. They're opportunists. They're looking for an opportunity to try to get your child.
And as a parent, just be in your kid's business.
You have to be in the business.
It's not the most popular thing, but it's the right thing to keep the innocence of our kids.
Oh, absolutely. And so, look, we're going to continue to take y'all behind the scenes with these type of operations and cases. I think we actually, I know it was 11 perpetrators that we actually are arrested on this sting, which was a 3-day operation. Arrested 11 of them. Now, only 2 of those were from Livingston Parish. The rest were from surrounding parishes, but they drove something like 2 hours just to come over here and try to hook up with a 14-year-old girl or a 14-year-old boy. So, again, we're dealing with some very sick individuals. It's very disturbing. That's why we do what we do, to get these people off the street every day. And I commend you, Calvin, and the ICAC Task Force guys for what they do every day. And I greatly appreciate our partnership with Liz Merle, our Attorney General. So she does a great job, and I'm glad that we are a part of that. So thank you for coming today. I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you listening. Download our LPSO app. Follow us on social media. And I just want to, again, thank you, Calvin Bowden, for being here and serving Livingston Parish. And as always in Livingston Parish, we love our schools, we love our churches, and we absolutely believe in the Second Amendment. Be safe and be blessed.